Hello. Okay, so had some technical difficulties. I hope I'm streaming everywhere I need to be. All right. I about the technical difficulties. I had set up an email sequence to go out to everybody who registered. My email sequence did not fire. I think that's the right terminology. And I really don't know what went wrong. I need to figure that out. So today I was trying to set up a broadcast, but couldn't figure out how to just like, oh, I'm a hairstylist. So I apologize for day one being a little bit wonky. Hopefully by day two I'll be able to figure all this out. And I'm sorry about my voice right now. I have I'm allergic to Nebraska and that's where I live. So all the time I have issues with allergies. I'm just looking at my other screen right now to make sure that I'm in the group. Um that. Oh, there I am. Okay. I'm live streaming in the group. Hi. I'm so excited to show you what I'm trying to get out to the world. Okay. I have been going to go back in time a little bit with you. I have been doing hair since the early 1980s. Um, I have seen these computer things come into our world. I have seen all the technology that's come into our world. It's been, I don't know how to say it. It's been phenomenally crazy, maybe. It has been really cool because back in 1984, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and basically told that I'd be lucky to live a healthy life into my 30s. And I just turned 59 and I'm doing great. I'm on the newest insulin pump and continuous glucose monitor that has the AI in it. This AI thing is good and bad. With my pump, it's great. So, I've seen a lot of things come into our world, and I've seen a lot of things come and go as well. But I have struggled with following along with everything that's changing all the time. I was a fairly early adapter to Facebook. Um, we lived in California when they released it to the general public, and I jumped right on because I had moved down to America from Canada to be with my American airmen that I met in an internet chat room. So yeah, I gotten online not super early because I didn't work with computers. Well, I did in a salon, but that computer didn't get online. Well, I don't know. It was weird. I wanted to kill that computer. That was the old like black screen, green letters programming. Like my brother had to help me with that. He's an engineer and it was bizarre. Not going to go there. Anyways, uh that's a story all in itself. I I've seen everything growing and getting better. Computers and um, whatnot have definitely gotten easier for someone who's not so technologically savvy to manage and to be able to build things on. I was able to build my funnel to get people to to register for this class, but I wasn't able to get my email sequence set up. So that's my next thing that I need to watch the videos and listen and try and figure all that stuff out. So it's a work in progress. So, anyways, been doing hair for 30 plus years, no, 40 plus years now. Holy crap. Man, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Been doing hair a long time. And I have seen a need for women to be educated about their hair. I can't tell you how many people, because I'm about educating people. I want people to understand their hair so that they know different tips and tricks and tools they can use to manipulate their hair, okay? Because you can manipulate it. You can. Whether you have a natural wave, a natural curl, a bone straight hair, like whatever. I have a natural wave, as you can see, and I played with my wave a little bit. Not crazy amounts, but I played with it a little bit just to give it that little bit of a movement. And I am a girl of the 80s, so I don't like super flat hair. I can never, I had it done to me once, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it that flat. It just, bleh. Sorry, not me, not me. And the basics of it are that you need to understand the internal structure of your hair and what's going on inside, but not to the degree that I went through in cosmetology school. There is a happy medium here, which is where I want to get you all to. And I will be putting the post. So if you guys want to make comments that I can see, you're going to have to let StreamYard know who you are first so I know who to respond to. Otherwise, you're just going to come up as Facebook user, which, it's not very personal. Facebook user. So, okay. I'm telling you a little bit about me right now and what I've been through. When I lived up in Canada, I didn't have to look for a hairstylist. I worked with hairstylists. I would watch them. I would see how they did hair. I would know which person I didn't want using the scissors or chemicals on my hair, and I'd know who I did want to. And that's how I gauged who I was going to let play with my hair. Of course, that took me some time to figure out when I was first working in the salon and apprenticing up in Canada. I had some really bad things happen to my hair because I didn't go with my gut instinct, and it just, it happens. So, and plus, at that point, I was a little more experimental with my hair. I just did crazy, crazy things sometimes. So, what I learned when I moved down to America. So, in 2001, I believe it was '01. It was shortly after 9/11. I had met my current husband in an internet chat room, and we connected. It was like just meant to be. I went down, yeah, it was 2001, because went down that Christmas, after Christmas, the day after Christmas. I went to Chicago to meet him because he was actually stationed in England at the time. And I went and met him. That went well, very well. And he invited me to come to Europe. So I was like, and at the time my life was blowing up around me at that time. Um, I was going through a divorce. I was losing my house, losing my business, basically losing the life that I knew. So I went and spent the entire summer with him in England, and he ended up proposing to me under the Eiffel Tower. And we were like, wow, this is so cool. So I knew I was going to be moving to America. And we filled out all the papers for the fiance visa. I think that's what they called it. And then I had to go back to Canada and wait. So I waited. Went to my doctors up there. I had also gone through. I was part of a study up there. I got islet cell transplant in my liver, and my liver was producing insulin for a while, and then it just stopped after a while. But so lots of doctors visits up in Canada, that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to remember the exact timeline. I think I went down and saw Paul. Yes, yes. I went down and he had been stationed in, oh, no. He got stationed in Tucson, Arizona, and he was like getting over his jet lag and that kind of stuff, and in temporary lodging, TLF. And the alarm started going off on base, and he was like, "What the heck?" And he had everything shut down at the time, and he was used to living in Europe. So when they called Bravo, he was like, "Whatever." And then they called Charlie. He's like, "That's normal in England, you know." So he went back to sleep. And then they called, what's the next one? Delta or whatever? I don't know. They called the next one, and that's when he was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" So that's when he found out about 9/11. I was up in Canada going to a doctor's visit when all this was happening, and they talked about the towers, and I honestly thought it was an accident. And then I think the next one was the one that happened in DC, but there was another one as well. And I was just like, "What the heck is going on?" So, got home from my doctor's visit. My sister was freaking out because I was living at her place at the time, living in their basement. She was freaking out. She was like, "Where's Paul? Where's Paul?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, he's sleeping. He just got there." So I got online and he wasn't there, and I sent him a message. And, like, I wasn't too concerned, but my sister was freaking out. And after the dust settled, if you will, there was a lot of dust from all that. Um, I said to my fiance at the time, I said, "Dude, like, I cannot stay up in Canada. If we're going to war, I need to get down there before things shut down." So I often kind of joke around that I was probably one of the last people that got onto an airplane in Canada heading to America with my driver's license because I did not have a passport. Or no, I did, but I didn't have to use it because I'd gone to England. Sorry. So I ended up down in America. We ended up going to Vegas to get married because we figured out that I couldn't be down in America without his health care. So I married my husband for his health care. So we got married in 2002, and I had to find a hairdresser. I I I was like, holy crow. However, once I got my work permit, I got a job. My first job was in a retail store, and it was kind of fun, but wasn't my jam. I didn't have I had to be down in America for a certain amount of time before I could go through the process of getting my um, cosmetology license in Arizona through reciprocity. So I was in the process of that, but I found a job at a supply house. So basically, at the supply house, I sold stuff for hair, skin, and nails for this place. And that's kind of, if you're not a hairstylist, you probably don't understand it, but it's where we buy all of our supplies for our salons to do hair and stuff. And nowadays you see them more, but back back then and earlier, it was our supply houses were always more in the warehouse type of area. Nowadays, supply houses are like people can see them everywhere now. It's crazy, but that was how it was. Sorry, drinking. Excuse me, drinking my coffee here. So got this job, and through that job, when I was in Arizona, I would go hang out at all these different salons in my area, and apparently I did a really good job because I'm a hairstylist and I just talk with them and tell them about our products and blah 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 blah. And it was through doing that that I was able to find a hairstylist that I knew number one I would get along with, and number two, from talking to her, I knew that um, she understood my hair. Okay, I've got like super fine hair, but I've got lots of it, and I've got this weird wave pattern in it. So that's my hair. But she like it ended up she was a good stylist. And I automatically knew the questions to ask and how to deal with that. So let me close this down. Okay. So beyond that, then I got pregnant and we moved to California. While I was pregnant in California, I worked at a hair salon because I had gotten my cosmetology license in Tucson, in Arizona. And when we moved to California, I worked on base. And on base, if I had to get my license in California, I would have had to go back to school. So there's no freaking way I would have done that. I was like, no, I'm pregnant. Now I'm like, but I got the job on base. And on base, if as long as you had an American license, you could work on base. So that's what I did. Had my baby, which was fabulous. Oh my goodness. Waited a lot of my lifetime to have a baby finally. Lots of good stuff happened with that. But then we moved to England. Now in England, I didn't have as many choices for hairstylists because there was one American salon and that was on base. And I ended up going through all of the hairdressers there and always got the same haircut. And it just, I ended up growing my hair out because I was like, okay, this just, they all gave me a stacked bob, even though that's not what I wanted. Um, so yeah, there was that, and I was like, this is so weird, like trying to find a hairstylist. Um, yeah, it was just very strange. So I let my hair grow out when we were there, and then moved to air. No, then we moved here to Nebraska, and that is truly when I started my journey of trying to find a hairstylist. And I figured a lot of things out. I eventually I worked in the salon here, but not right away. I It took me a few other moves and then getting back and then getting in the salon. And when you're working in the salon, it's a lot easier to find a hairstylist. It really is. But I want to help you to figure this out. So right now, there's a little bit of my history with this. I want to see here, go to my notes that I've been. All right. So when I do hair, I don't just have someone sit in my chair, ask them what they want, and do that. I discuss it with them. We have a conversation, and that's the way it should be. And that part, in a lot of places, is missing now. It just, there's too many, I don't know. I see a lot of these younger hairstylists going through the process of, working at the lower end salons first and working their way up through the thing, but they lose the ability of doing a proper consultation. And a proper consultation is a two-way interview. All right. I am interviewing my new person. They are interviewing me. And we can say no at any time. And as an educated hairstylist, you should be okay with that. Okay. So I don't want you to feel like when you say no to someone for getting your hair done, that it should be fine. But I've got some ways, some ideas on how, because there were some that I wanted to say no to. I didn't want them doing chemicals or cutting on my hair. But the way I said no was softer. It didn't hurt them so much. So I'd like you to know that I have different ways of doing that, and different things to say and different questions to ask and all this stuff. I've gotten this stuff together. Um, so when I do a consultation, I don't need to pull hair out of your head to analyze it or anything like that. I just need to look at it and feel it and touch it. And if you have natural curl, I need to see it both dry and wet. There's a lot of different things there, but I can do it by looking and touching and not like cutting hair off and that kind of stuff. I basically get because I've been doing it for so stinking long. But I've got different ways that you can figure out different things about your hair to decipher how fine it is or how thick it is, or some people refer to thickness as coarseness, and that is the diameter of your hair. Okay. There's also the density of your hair, which means how many hairs per square inch. And that is something that I'm not going to make you sit and count the hairs on your head. Only God does that, and He knows them all. But there are ways to determine approximately where you are with that. Okay. So I realized that I help ladies with their hair needs and wants through education, and I knew that I needed to approach a new hairstylist like that when I was searching. So this is something I want to give you, and I want to show you you can see my whiteboard behind me. I'm going to show you a few things about your hair. I did make a workbook, and in that workbook, it's got some pictures and you can write down your definitions and stuff. I did try to email out the first 4 pages to you all, but that, of course. But if you get registered now, and like I say, I will put the link in here for you to register. And if you register, even if you don't take the VIP upgrade includes a VIP Facebook group for me where I'll be putting more education in about all this stuff. The workbook, which in my opinion is like the most epic workbook ever. Pretty cool. I think so anyways. And I can't remember the other. It's got it all. If you go through the sales page and stuff, you'll see, and it's only $7 to be in the VIP group get that. Oh, you get a one-on-one consultation online so we can discuss what's going on with your hair and what's frustrating you and that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's the VIP. I keep going the wrong way because I'm looking at myself. Sorry. Okay. So by the end of this 5-day challenge, you will have the confidence that you need when you sit in a hairstylist chair, and you will be able to lead the conversation and find the best hairstylist for you and your hair. Okay. It's all about you and your hair. It's not about the girl next to you who says, "Oh, I go to this great person, blah, blah, blah." That's a good recommendation. Okay. If you say you love their hair, that's a good recommendation. But if their hair is totally different from your hair, you have to go see them. You have to go see the stylist. You have to have a consultation. You can schedule for a haircut, but you do not have to get a haircut if that person isn't right for you. Okay, so yeah, that's what that's all about. So right now I'm going to show you. Da, 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 da. Let me see here. I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. Okay, so I need to show you certain things on my board about your hair. Okay, so let's see here. I look at, and I might have to speak loud. I'm going to go close my door so that animals don't come in. Because the animals will come in, my cat will come up here and move stuff around, and make a mess because he's a cat and he's naughty. So I'm going to show you. This is something that I talk to probably 90% of my customers about. Okay, inside structure of the hair. So come here. This would be the hair, and this is the cuticle. Usually the cuticles will sit flatter than this, but it's basically the cuticles are kind of like shingles on the roof. Okay, so when we're doing any kind of chemical procedures, we are swelling the hair up and lifting the cuticle in order to get the chemicals inside the hair. Okay, I don't know if you can see that very well. Let me move closer. Can you see my drawing? I'm going to turn off this light up top. Maybe that will help. Does that make it so you can see? Oh yeah, that makes it a little bit better. Okay. So the cuticles usually sit a little more like this. Okay. But they are overlapped. So, all right. So there are layers to the hair. This very middle piece is the medulla, and it is not always present. Finer hair and lighter hair generally doesn't have a medulla, and that's okay. All right. And this part over here, like right through here, that's the cortex. Okay. So that's the basic. We got the medulla. Let me see. And we've got the cortex. And then we have the cuticle layer. That's the basics of hair. Now, also inside, now this is just kind of a blank canvas, okay? We've got these bonds, okay? So I'm going to do different colors. Okay. Now, this doesn't represent actually how many bonds there are or anything like that. This is just so you get a broad overview of it, okay? So these are the hydrogen bonds. And these are and I always have trouble with spelling this, so I apologize. Sulfide bonds, okay? So the hydrogen bonds, the hydrogen bonds are what you need to know about for styling your hair, all right? Um, for example, when I woke up this morning, I usually, when I'm wearing my hair curly, put a ponytail on top of my head, a loose one. That's how I sleep, with my silk pillowcase. Then I pop it off, and this morning my bang area here was like doing all sorts of funky woo hoo 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 crazy stuff. Okay, so the hydrogen bond bonds. Just a minute here. I've got an eraser. They are softened by heat. They are broken by water. Okay, that's what happens to these blue ones. Is I took my heat tool, which I have. I don't know if you've seen those. They're kind of blow dryer curling iron things. I really like them. I just wanted my hair to be curled back and to sit back nicely in this little swoop that I do. So I took my curling iron blow dryer thing, heated it up, and then I used it and I got a nice turn on my hair, like straightened it out, got a nice turn. So I was softening these hydrogen bonds with the heat of that device. And then I let it sit in that curl. I didn't comb through it right away. It looked really silly, but sometimes you have to let it look silly for a while to get to where you want to go. And they get rehardened by cooling. So I let it sit like that until it totally cooled off. Then I put a little bit of hairspray on and I pushed it back, and voila, there's my hair for the day. Okay. Um, broken by water. I don't know how many of you have gotten like shampoo sets. Um, when someone uses a round brush on your hair, they're dealing with the broken hydrogen bonds and refixing them with heated air. Although they don't always need to use the heated air until they're finalizing, is my assessment. But some people just like to use the heated air a lot. Another thing that I wanted you to know about this is when you blow dry your hair, if you're using a round brush, you don't need to use it until the end. You can dump your head upside down and blow dry the base I like to do it upside down because that gets me more volume. If you don't like volume, then stand up and just like pull your hair down and blow dry it. Get it so that it's damp. Don't do it from wet to dry like that, because that's just wasting your time, in all honesty. It's ridiculous. So anyways, these are things you need to understand about your hair so that you know what you're doing with it, okay? Now, these disulfide bonds, these ones right here, these guys only get affected by chemicals. So we're working on disulfide bonds when we're doing relaxers that go inside the hair, which are the scary ones. When we're doing perms, we're doing that. Doing colors kind of messes with them a little bit, but not too much. Like it doesn't actually change the texture of the hair or the structure. It just does stuff to do with color, some scientific stuff that I don't even really understand, but at least I know the color wheel, so that's good. So that's about the basic internal structure of the hair that I want you to understand, especially about the hydrogen bonds, okay? So I'm not even going to write down the disulfide bonds because they are more for the hairdresser to understand than for you to have to understand. So there's that. I don't see anybody on live right now. Oh, there's one person right now. If you have any questions that you want to ask about what I just put up on the board here, about the disulfide bonds and the hydrogen bonds, please feel free to ask. I am willing to answer questions and help you figure this out. This isn't something that you need to be able to discuss with your hairdresser. This is just something that you need to understand about your hair. So I wanted to tell you a quick story about a customer that I had quite a while ago when I was living up in Canada. Um, I was working at Regis Hairstylist in Sherwood Park, Florida, which I loved working at. That was like my ultimate salon time. It was like a bunch of us women working together who a lot of us went to high school together. So I didn't really hang out with a lot of these people in high school, but we became incredible friends. It was it was like I was working with who was meant to be my family. It was crazy in a good way. But we had a manager, his name was Mitch, and there was another dude that worked there. His name was Todd. And it was so funny because we were doing this. I think they called it Clip for Cancer or something. We were doing haircuts down the end of the mall on a stage, and basically people were donating money to cancer, might have been breast cancer, I'm not even sure. Um, and we were doing haircuts and handing out our cards, and just getting to know people and that kind of stuff. And we had to submit our numbers to the home office. And in that, we had to come up with a name for our salon, not just, Sherwood Park Regis. No, we had a number. I can't remember what it was, 5 something. But we had to come up with a name, and it went round and round in the back room for a while. We were all like trying to figure it out. And I can't even remember who said it. If it was me or if it was someone else, I'm not sure. But one of us said, "Hey, we could be Mitch's Bitches and Todd." So that's what we were. Mitch's Bitches and Todd. It was, yeah, that was funny. Anyways, I was I had apprenticed in a barber shop, and then I apprenticed in another shop downtown Edmonton. And then I finally got the job at Regis, which was my dream job at the time. So I started apprenticing there, and in all honesty, I was I've always been like a tomboy, and as you can tell, I don't wear makeup all the time. I like my hair to look good, but if I do wear makeup, sometimes it'll be mascara. It's just not a huge thing for me to wear makeup. So when I was working at the salon, though, I was trying to figure out this fashion thing and making some epic errors, if you will. My hair was a hot mess because I had, at that point, I'd only worked for men, and both of them were technically barbers, so they didn't know how to do my hair either. Um, so I was new. I was a newbie. Didn't really know. I had the beginning of knowing how to do hair. When you're at the beginning, you're experimenting a lot, and your poor family will suffer. Because my mom, oh my gosh, when I worked, okay, this is a bit of a funny story. Do you remember streaking caps? The ones that were like suction cup to your head, and then we take a crochet hook and like pull hair through? Okay, so I had read in this salon magazine about this. At this time, we didn't really have the bigger perm rods. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. There we go. We didn't have the bigger perm rods. So body waves, everybody wanted a perm that would give them body, but not a lot of curl, just like a wave, like my hair has that bit of a wave to it. But we couldn't do it back then. Like it was just, we had one technique that we called rod to roller transfer, which I did a fair amount of those. And basically you would use the smaller perm rods to break the disulfide bonds, and then you'd rinse that off, and then you would kind of stretch the hair out and put it on rollers and let it air diffuse for a while, like, and then put the neutralizer on. The neutralizer is what goes in and refixes those disulfide bonds in their new form. But you had to be careful when you were doing rod to roller, because when you break them in the smaller rollers, um, they're trying to fix it the wrong places. Like they fix it places for a tighter curl, if you will. Whereas when you transfer it to the rollers, you had to give it time for those disulfide bonds to find their new homes before you fixed them there with the neutralizer. So, anyways, that was like the only real method we had for doing a um, a softer body wave, and it was not 100% predictable, because sometimes people's hair, their where we had broken the disulfide bonds with the smaller rollers, it was too strong of a their hair wanted to fix in that smaller curl. So sometimes it was an epic fail. But that's back in days before we had these bigger perm rods and these softer, flouncier, more body curls and that kind of stuff. So I read this article where they had pulled hair through a streaking cap and then put the rollers on the hair that they had pulled through and permed it, and then fixed it with the neutralizer, and it gave them body. It just kind of basically it created a bunch of little curly bits, which could have done it without the torture, but at the time we didn't know that. We weren't doing oils. We weren't doing. It was all about the streaking cap back then, and we didn't even have the nice one that you do under the chin. It was like the skin tight, suction to your head streaking cap, and my poor mother. She was my experimental model, and I did it on her. And after you've permed hair, you cannot put conditioner in. You can't put that kind of stuff on it, because you need to let it settle in that new form. So I had to try and get that streaking cap off of her hair with these wild curly bits and no conditioner. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to pull a streaking cap off of someone's head with no conditioner. Oh, I felt so bad for her. However, Once we were done, she was like, "Wow, I have body." Because my mom's hair is like I used her as my model when I got my cosmetology license up in Canada, and I had to do finger waves and pin curls and stuff like that. I would set my finger waves. I would have the most beautiful ridges. By the time my instructor came around to look at it, it was almost straight. And that's with like so much gel, I can't even tell you. That's how straight my mom's hair is. It was just like, "Ugh, why did I use you for that?" But anyways, I got my license. So okay. So that was my funny, well, to me it was funny, torture my mom story about the crazy curl. So I've experimented a lot over the years and figured things out, but so I get to Regis. The the girls gave me a bit of time. They knew I was like a fashion victim because I didn't know what I was doing. I just like sometimes I come in and my best friend, well, she ended up being my best friend, Tammy. She'd just look at me and she'd be like, "Can I fix you?" And she would. Because sometimes I was a hot mess. I had no idea. It's taken me many years to figure out what my fashion sense is. I'm still very tomboyish. I love wearing jeans. I love being a little more casual. I do wear dresses in the summertime just for the coolness of it, but I just, I don't know. I don't follow fashion trends. I make my own fashion trends. So that's been me for a long time and always will be. I'm always going to be that tomboyish type of woman. So I'm in the salon. I don't believe they'd touched my hair yet much. Maybe I'd gotten a haircut, but I hadn't gone down the color world with them yet because that's another story in itself. And I got this new customer, and she sat in my chair. And it was like I saw her walk in and she was like freezing cold. It was middle of winter there, so probably minus 40 outside. She didn't look like she was very confident. She didn't look anybody in the eye. She was always looking down and just she had a nurse's uniform on, so that's how I knew she was a nurse. She sat in my chair and I asked her if she wanted some coffee. And she said, "Yes, please." So I went and got the coffee. And the coffee we had in the back room, I went to get it, and the girls were talking. She's like, "Oh no, she never likes her hair." And I was like, "Oh, uh-oh," like, "Eh," but as a young stylist, that kind of sounds a little bit scary. Never likes her hair. So I went back out there and gave her or actually, I went back out there to ask her because I forgot to ask if she wanted cream or sugar. And she says to me, she says, "Oh no, I just want the coffee cup so I can hold it because I'm so freaking cold." Well, she didn't say frickin', but she said, "I'm so cold." So took her the coffee, let her hold it, and we had these slanted benches before the mirror, and then it was flat at the top where we could keep our products and whatnot. So I went and kind of leaned back on the slanted part and sat on it a little bit and had a discussion with her. Talked about her life, talked about what she did, and talked about how much time she had to do her hair, and just got into who she was. Because I had heard the girls talking about how she was never a happy customer. And I was like, well, I'm going to make darn sure that I understand her. And I'm going to make darn sure that I figure out what she wants or needs. So we got through this whole process. She had fine hair. She didn't have much time to do her hair. She had to be at work at like 6 in the morning and work like 12-hour shifts. And it was just like, nurses have that bit of a crazy life when it comes to working. She had 2 kids who were in elementary and her husband who worked full time as well. So, like, there was just no time for herself. So, she also had fairly straight hair. There was a slight wave in it. And I went looked at her hair and while it was dry, and then I said, okay, well, let's wash your hair and I want to see how it sits wet. So we did that, and I had just learned a new haircut that we called the Capri, and I loved this haircut. I still do it today. Like there's still elements of it that I use in my platform today. And I told her about the Capri haircut, and she said that sounded like a really good option for her. And then I also told her that I thought a perm would be best for her hair type. Number one, because her hair was very fine and kind of limp. And number two, because she didn't really have time to mess with her hair. And at this time, we had gotten some of the bigger rollers, and I told her we could do like a body wave that's going to give you like give you a curl, but not super tight. Because at first she was like, "Oh no, I'm not getting one of those things." My mom used to get those things, and that's when I went and pulled out the rollers and showed her the difference, and I just went through the whole thing, and I'm like, "These will give you a softer curl." Um, and if we go with the bigger ones for now, the biggest ones we had then were the big purple ones. Purple, green, I think, and then it went to white. Yeah. So I said we can just start with the purple ones. And, if that doesn't give you enough curl, then we can add some of the smaller ones the next time we do it. And I said a perm's going to last you, depending on how fast your hair grows, because she wore her hair shorter, not super short, but shorter. And I said, it depends on how fast your hair grows and how often you get it cut, but a perm should last you anywhere from 4 to 6 months. She was like, oh, nobody's ever talked to me about a perm before. Do you have time to do that now? And I happened to have the time at that point, so I did give her the perm. Showed her how to do it herself, walked her through the whole process, also sold her some products for her hair to keep it healthy, keep it where it needs to be, and all that kind of stuff. And she and her family ended up being customers of mine until I moved away from Canada. And I'll never forget when her husband came in for a haircut. And he said to me, he said, Tammy, I want to thank you. My wife feels great about herself. Thank you. And that was one of the best things I ever heard. So, yeah, getting ready to close down today. I want you to remember these first elements of your hair about your hydrogen bonds and your disulfide bonds. If you're going to play with your hair with the hydrogen bonds right now, which I would highly recommend, if you're doing anything to your hair, number one, do not blow dry from wet. Okay. If you have natural curl and you want it to stay curly, do not blow dry. Okay. Um, these are certain things that we'll go over tomorrow about the different textures and whatnot. But for right now, I would like you to play with your hair and go grab a blow dryer or an iron or whatever you have that creates heat and try what I'm saying. Grab a round brush if you have one. Grab a regular brush if you have one. If you have, okay, even if you have something like this, you can still, and I mean, I know I'm a hairdresser, I know these things, but you can just grab your hair in the brush and turn it this way and apply the heat right along here. Let it sit there, let it cool off, and then remove it and see what you've done. Because it will be like, you'll just be like, whoa. And if you don't want it to stay that way, okay, so you have done this and created this bend here. If you don't want it to stay that way, then you're going to grab this and you're going to, oops, wherever that bend is, you're going to hold it straighter and you're going to apply the heat to that, just straight to straighten it back out. And you can keep brushing it and pull it a little bit straighter and keep doing it. Where am I going? This way. and then you can like get it back to where it was. If just experiment, play with your hydrogen bonds in your hair. I highly recommend it. So let me see here. I'm coming up to my hour. I only want to do this for an hour. Um, I don't. I think I only have one person registered for VIP. So I am going to go into VIP and just talk with her personally about her hair issues since there's nobody else there right now. If more people come along as the VIP, as this 5-day challenge goes on, then I will add more time to the VIP and I'll try to make it as personal to you as I can. I want to disrupt the hair industry, guys. I want the public to tell hairstylists what they want and what they need and to understand their hair and be able to articulate what their needs and wants are. Be able to ask questions that will disqualify the stylist whose chair they're sitting in. These are things that I want to do. I want to help. I want to help you all to get it. I want to help you all to move the needle forward and end up having the hair that you love. So hopefully I will see you all tomorrow. Let me see, what time are we? If there's any questions, please throw them in now. I can answer them. I don't see any questions right now. So yeah, that's day 1. I want you back here for day 2. I will be streaming in the same places because I don't know if I'm going to get past this email thing. I need to go figure the email out. I need to listen to some tutorials and stuff, so that takes time. I wish I could just wave a magic wand and make it happen, but apparently I need to work on this. So, and probably day 3, I'm going to be playing with some mannequins. I've got, oh, where is she? There's Kaylin right there. I've also got another girl who's hiding in the corner. Um, we had foster kids in the home, and one of the foster kids got a hold of some scissors and decided to give Kaylin a little haircut at the side, which poor Kaylin's hair isn't going to grow. So I just kind of leave it there for now because I don't want to take her hair that short, but I don't know. Maybe I'll play with color and do some weird stuff to her eventually. Yeah, probably something like that. So I hope this has been valuable for you. If you do have any questions, I will also include my email in the replay because I don't know how to add it to this unless I put it here. I don't know if this will go through or not. Let me try. Let me try. Okay. Will that go through? It might. Okay, so that's my email address. If anybody wants to, if you have any questions about your hair or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. And if it's a question that I do not know the answer to, I will find the person who knows the answer and maybe I will interview them and include you in that interview so that we can help you figure it out. I'd love to help you with that. So there's that one. Let me see, where is my, I don't remember my, sorry, my mouse is being bizarre, 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 bizarre. It's bizarre. It's the bizarre mouse. Let me see here. Here it is. I will. I'm just grabbing the link. Open. And I'll put the link in here where you can register. Paste. duplicate that. Okay. So now you should have a link to my email and a link. If not, I'll get into the other groups and put it in there. I think this because right now I'm streaming to my Facebook profile, the group that I wanted to put it in, and to YouTube. So I don't know. I hope more of you can join me tomorrow. If not, please enjoy learning about your hair. And like I say, let me know if you need more information. I'm also going to take a picture of my board and put it in probably on my Facebook, on my page, and in the group so that people can see that because I will erase it and I'll use it again tomorrow. And that's about it. I hope you all have a great day. Hope to see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central for more hair information. Bye. Oh, bye.